Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey, and here let's check out the top new games made with Unity launched in July 23. This month was really difficult to pick just 10, there were at the very least 30 Unity games that looked extremely interesting. This month I didn't even include a VR game just to have one more slot. As usual, that's great news for players, lots of awesome stuff to play, but really tricky for the developers, tons of really tough competition with everyone vying for the player's time. And this month also has a nice amount of indie sequels, which are always an interesting topic since indies very rarely do sequels. The reason why I make these videos is to show you everything the engine can do, the limit is really just your own skills and imagination, and the variety and the awesomeness of the games shown here really puts that to the test. All of these games are uniquely impressive, so the list is in no particular order, except for the number one game that is my personal pick of the month. Also, I'm currently working on my own Steam game, The Guardians. It's a fun game with some automation, colony building, and defense mechanics, where you can build a colony, automate it, and keep the tiny defenseless dingies safe from harm. There's a free demo you can play, go ahead, add it to your wishlist, and follow for devlogs. Just a quick mention, the Asset Store is doing a best off sale for just a few more days. Most of the assets that I use in making my open world game are currently discounted, so if you missed that first sale, get it quickly. I don't know when this repeat one is ending. And if you need thousands of assets or sound effects at almost 99% off, check out the links in the description. Alright, so starting off at number 10 with a highly anticipated puzzle game that just came out, it's Viewfinder. This is one of those highly cerebral puzzle games with one extremely unique mechanic. In this case, the mechanic is you hold a camera which can take pictures, then you can take those pictures and essentially add them to the world. So if there's a huge gap in the world, you can take a picture of a bridge, then place that bridge in the world and just move through it. It's a very interesting mechanic, and to me the most amazing thing is wondering how all of this works in technical terms. Basically, when you take a picture, it needs to somehow store all that mesh data whilst taking perspective into account. Then when doing reverse, when placing the picture back in the world, you gotta do the same thing, grab that mesh data and somehow apply it based on where the camera is looking, and cut and slice all of the objects in the world. So in technical terms, this is really impressive, and it's definitely one of the more inventive puzzle games to come out in the past few years. And it seems like it's really not just a gimmick, but rather a well, proper made puzzle game. It's already got over 1,500 very positive reviews, so if you enjoy unique puzzle mechanics, then definitely give this one a look. Next, for a nice indie sequel, here we have Oxenfree 2. This one is actually published by Netflix, which is quite interesting. It's a story-heavy game, just like the first one. In this one, you have all kinds of options. You talk to various people and try to solve the mysteries of this town. Use your radio and set it to various frequencies and listen. You also have a walkie-talkie, which you can use to talk with anyone from anywhere. It's heavy on choices, heavy on relationships, and heavy on mystery. They mention how it works both as a direct sequel, but also standalone if you haven't played the original. It seems to be doing pretty well with over 700 very positive reviews. Then for another indie sequel many years in the making, here is Xenonauts 2. The original one came out all the way back in 2014, and now finally we have a sequel. This one is an XCOM-like, but it's more like the original XCOM rather than the 2012 remake, so it's really in-depth, really detailed on all kinds of actions you can take, very complex strategic layer as well as tactical combat. The premise is the same, aliens are attacking everywhere in the world and you must defend. There's a massive variety of enemies, each with their own weaknesses and strengths. Every engagement has a nice risk versus reward. Will you blow the enemies with explosives from a distance, or get up close and personal to try to capture them alive to learn some more? You can construct buildings in the strategy layer to aid you on your fight. You can research all kinds of vehicles, aircraft, armor, and weapons. Train your soldiers and send them into action, where you can command them in a grid, taking actions one turn at a time. It is out now in early access and reviews are mostly positive. It seems most of the complaints is that it simply doesn't add too much on top of the original, and some of the new mechanics do feel a bit unbalanced. Personally, I've had the original one on my to-play list for many years now. I wonder if I should try that one or just jump into this one. Then every month continues to have vampire survival likes. This month a really interesting one is called Yet Another Zombie Survivors. This one manages to stand out by being more realistic. Most of the survival likes, they have lots of fantasy elements, and this one does have some zombies, but beyond that it's pretty grounded. You've got regular characters and regular weapons. You control a team leader that will lead your other survivors. You can upgrade survivors in various ways. You can grab new items and choose power-ups. The gameplay is just like you expect, so it's not a top-down shooter, but rather it's an auto shooter. You just move around slaying hordes of zombies, pick up some upgrades, die, then do it all over again. It's actually a bit more expensive than the usual survival likes. It's $10, but that has not stopped people from picking it up. It's already got 2,500 very positive reviews, even though it's only in early access, so this one is definitely already a huge hit. Then here's one that has both flat and VR modes, it's The Break-In. In this one, you break into various buildings and pretty much steal anything that isn't bolted down. You get in through a window, steal a TV, and throw it to your buddy outside to place in the getaway van. You also have some tools at your disposal. You can throw a grappling hook for a quick getaway, or just bring it back to store any jewelry. Although, do make sure you don't make any noise that might wake up the residents. Each mission is randomized, so you need a new plan every time. That also includes any NPCs or security cameras, so casing the place is a very important part of the plan. It works in single player or 4-player online co-op. Also, some players can be in VR and some in flat screens. Then for some fighting management, here is Punch Club 2. This one is the sequel to the game from 2016. I played the original quite a long time ago and I remember that I really enjoyed it. This one is set in the future. It's an RPG management game all about fighting. You train your character, do push-ups to gain strength, run for some stamina, and unlock all kinds of kicks and special moves. When you go to fight, it's all automated. You just pick the skills in the character fights. But it's not just fighting stats, you also need to live, so you need to work some menial jobs to get some cash, which you can then use to buy food or get into a gym. If you're into Easter eggs, then this game is perfect for you. Every game has some gorgeous pixel art filled with references to things like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's the janitor from Scrubs, Precause from Minority Report, and tons more. All of it looks really interesting. There's lots of side quests and quirky characters to meet. I really enjoyed the original, so I can't wait to try this one. It's out now with 1,000 very positive reviews. Up next, here is a fun simulator game called Gunsmith Simulator. Like the name implies, this one is all about handling all kinds of guns. You've got tons of tiny parts that make up the whole gun. Personally, I know nothing about guns, but this seems very detailed, very realistic. You accept some orders, fix what's broken, renovate what is old, and customize a weapon. You can put together all kinds of guns, from AK-47s to a bunch of pistols, Uzis, shotguns, or bolt-action rifles. Take out each part individually, clean it, paint it, and put it all back together again. And of course, when everything is back together, you can go to the gun range to try them out. These simulator games live or die based on the concept, and a gun simulator is certainly an interesting concept. Some of these simulator games also usually have a ton of jank, but this one does seem quite solid. It is out now in early access with 500 very positive reviews. Next, for yet another sequel, here is Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator 2. I remember when the original game came out, it blew up like crazy. Every YouTuber was making videos on all kinds of insane scenarios, like 100 modern soldiers versus 10,000 Spartans. Personally, I even attempted a similar game myself. I made Ember Knights Battles, which was a fun experiment, but definitely very janky. In this one, you create battles using all kinds of unique and strange characters, things like zombies, Spartans, soldiers. There's even some special ones like William Wallace and the Kool-Aid Man. This one seems to feature the same gameplay, but on a much larger scale. There's an insane amount of units on screen and some really huge worlds. Again, this is all made with Unity. I don't even think they are using dots, so I wonder how they got this much stuff working. Probably required a massive amount of engineering effort, pushing multi-threaded code to its limits. It's even got some impressive physics simulations with some giant explosions and tsunamis. It's quite hard to top the scale of the original, but this one seems like they did it. Honestly, nowadays, I wouldn't think this type of game is popular, but apparently it still is. They've already got over 3,000 very positive reviews, so clearly people still love this niche genre. Then if you're into some roguelike action, check out Ember Knights. It's top-down, fast-paced action. There's tons of bullets flying around, so there's some bullet hell mechanics as well. Everything is super fast-paced. You must dash, hack and slash. There are 6 distinct weapons, which sounds like a small amount, but they can be combined with modifications, skills, and relics for near infinite customization. You challenge difficult bosses, try out different builds, and don't be afraid of death. Visually, it looks great. There's lots of colors and flashy effects. The game works in both single player and co-op, either online or split screen. This one was in early access for quite some time and just hit 1.0. In all that time, it gathered 2,500 very positive reviews, so this one is a huge hit. If you're a fan of this genre, then definitely check it out. And at number 1 for my personal pick of the month, here is an excellent first-person factory automation game named Techtonica. It is set beneath the surface of an alien planet, so that's how it differs from something like Satisfactory. You start by gathering resource nodes manually, then you make the machines to gather them for you. Take those resources and craft some more complex items, gather more advanced resources, build more, and so on and on. The caves are gorgeous with some great looking bioluminescent flora. Even though the entire game is underground, it is actually quite colorful. It supports creating some truly massive factories. Looks like the game is very well optimized. There are also some nice rails that you can use to transport both yourself and your resources across vast distances. The mining looks to be quite interesting. You've got a black hole machine that digs into the terrain in a very satisfying way. way, the whole game works in both single player and co-op multiplayer. It is out now in early access, and they seem to have a very robust, very clear roadmap. On the page they mention how the plan is to be in early access for 3 years, and they've also been running an alpha alongside a community since last year, so this early access release is already quite polished. It's currently got 500 very positive reviews, so if I can find the time, I'd really love to give this one a try. Alright, so that's 10 awesome new games made with Unity on launch in July 23. I hope this list helps you see how the Unity engine is capable of building anything. The limits are really just your own skills and imagination. Check out my own game Dinky Guardians and add it to your wishlist. Alright, hope that's useful. Check out these videos to learn some more. Thanks to these awesome Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.